Despite dead draw temporarily becoming overdraw, United Kingdom survived that match and have got through to the final match against Norway. The winner of this will go into the top 4 tomorrow. The losers will join the Czech Republic on the bus home. And Darek is back, and Darek, I think, is a fan of both these two countries, as am I. And it's going to be a tough one to cast because one of these is going out, Darek.
Yeah, it's always heartbreaking to see. I mean, even just based on the last match with Czech Republic going 0-2, that's a big upset when you think about it, given how strong of a team they are. But any team going out 0-2 would be a be a big upset. Wow, that's quite a hat.
That is quite a hat. This is hat number 5 at least. Is that like cat in a hat?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Except
it complements his miserable face so well.
He really does. We really need to get him to put it on one of his cats now for his final form.
Cat in a hat on a cat.
Yeah.
Let's not do that because we'll probably just do that for the entire cast if we go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. But either way, Norway versus
Norway didn't win with, right? Sorry.
Yes, exactly. Sorry. Yeah, Norway versus UK. I think. I don't know. It's so difficult to differentiate between the best of the best players at the top of Hearthstone. Like, you're talking about points of a percentage, like percentages of percentages that they can get over each other. Mm-hmm. But I think I still have to say, despite the respect that I have for ball control, he's like my favorite Hearthstone player, and Dead Draw I think is the most, like the best non-GM player that we have at the moment. I still think that Hunter Ace is just kind of too good to not say he's favored going into this match, just because of how strong of a player he is.
And there's little nuances as well. You talk about the percentage, but Hunter Ace and NTR have played together forever.
That's true, yeah.
Ball control and Dead Draw get on very well. They discuss things extremely well. They complement each other very well, but they haven't played with each other forever like the other two have. So all the mini pointers pointing to Norway. However, this Warrior deck took a beating in that upper bracket final a few minutes ago.
It really did. It was looking god-awful, it has to be said. You know, as I said back then, it was some very, very fortunate draws from the opponent. Like, the Rogue got the double Apothecary Uber Nut start, the Paladin won a 1-in-4 brawl, and then the Shaman just kind of did Shaman things. But to be fair, it feels like at the moment in Hearthstone, these kind of decks that rely on fatigue, just removing, gaining armor, are not really good enough. You need a very solid win condition in your deck in order to be taking games.
Yeah, I think the phrase we've used for some time now is it's a bit too fair. Despite the fact it's using dragons to do pretty absurd stuff, relative to its peers, the deck is a little bit fair.
Definitely
meaning it's not cheating on turn 4 or 5, and it is just trying to fend off all the blows. But the blows are pretty mighty that most decks can land now.
Yeah.
That being said, if they do get through this, you know, it's anybody's game completely.
Bit of a tough choice here as to what you go for. I'm definitely imagining that they lean towards Twilight Drake eventually, because it would allow them to just play it out on the following turn. But clearly they have somewhat of a different view in mind. I guess that the big ol' whelp does have synergy with Waxadread to an extent, because you can get that candle shuffled in and try and draw it again as soon as possible. But I am a little bit surprised by that. I wonder what their thought process was, because now they just are left without a 4-drop, and it would have been a good 4-drop with this many cards in hand.
Yeah, maybe they just feel that they can't get it done with regular warrior resources and just need more cards. I mean, that sounds crazy, because the Twilight Drake to me is a huge resource. It's going to deny the Mana Tide, etc. It's also, I believe that there is one Earthshock. There is one Earthshock in the UK's deck. Maybe they just don't want to lose their Twilight Drake to that.
That's a good point. That's actually a very good point, yeah. And also the fact that if they play the Twilight Drake next turn, that means they're not killing the Mana Tide, which might be a pretty high priority for them. So maybe this time we're going to see a Shield Slam or a Warpath instead. Would make a good amount of sense to me. But I think you hit the nail on the head with the Earthshock. It's just too devastating of a tempo swing.
It is, but like going with your argument before I mentioned that, if you're missing your turn 4 anyway by not taking a 4-drop.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're not missing it completely, right? They're still able to clear stuff off on this turn. Sure. It's not as good as playing Twilight Drake, obviously. I mean, I'm sure it's one of those things that they're listening to us debate about it, and they're like, yes, we thought all of these things as well. Like, obviously it's not a great solution. We're not certain it's correct either, but we're just doing the best with what we've got.
Or they're just slamming their heads into the wall asking why we're so stupid. It's blooming obvious. Which it never is, by the way, when Hunter Ace explains his plays. They're obvious to him because he's so good. They're not necessarily obvious to the rest of us sometimes.
Pretty respectable start here for ball control. He's run out of card draw at this point, which is a little bit scary given that he hasn't found Galacrond yet. But I think the fact that he has a couple of invokers in order to go in combination with this Dragons pack should be enough to see him through the mid game, because I mean, as soon as we hit turn 6 and we're in the Vargoth plus Dragons pack territory, that is an absolute 100% must answer board. And from there, you can start spiraling things pretty quickly to a win.
Yeah, I was surprised how long it took Vargoth to actually get into this deck. It was only about 36 hours, but that felt about 35 hours too long.
Yeah.
So insane.
It's kind of crazy that Vargoth has seen so little play compared to what people thought it was going to be. Because when it was released in like the pre-release, like 5 days before the expansion came out, it was like the best card anyone had ever seen. With the Priest Resurrect spells and stuff like that, it was absolutely absurd.
I mean, it's a very well-designed card. It seems to sneak into decks often enough to be a playable card and a good legendary.
It's true,
but it doesn't seem to bust any decks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't go, oh, look, my Vargoth deck's going to destroy all of you. It's not that sort of card. I really like that sort of card.
Could argue it limits design space, but I think I agree with you that what it does mainly is just make for interesting deck building, where you have to think, what kind of spells do I want that go well with this? Because you can't just jam it in any old deck.
Yeah, and usually it dies. It doesn't even though it's got 6 health, it doesn't really defend itself too well other than that. So unless you're going to play it with some crazy 6 mana spell on turn 10 that doesn't really even exist yet, it's probably fine.
And when you're at turn 10, you should be doing broken stuff anyways.
Yeah, you're allowed to play Yogg Saron Hoped End on turn 10 in some formats, so yeah.
Right, we're clearly looking towards, as the first port of call, just a Shield of Galacrond, just to throw that down. It lines up pretty terribly, actually, it's got to be said, against these set of minions. But what it does allow is, as we were saying, Vargoth plus Dragon's Pact on the following turn. Dragon's Pact, not Pact.
Yes. Did you hear me correct people on that?
No, but I just say it by accident all the time anyway.
So do I, but, you know, people were having a chat about it, and I decided to have a rant about how it's a pack of wolves, not they've made a pact with Galacrond, as was rumoured in chat.
Man, what has happened?
Cool story, but, you know.
What has happened to our society when Neil is correcting pronunciation?
Wow. Fair point, well made. I'm now going to refer to this as Shaman for the rest of the day.
Just to annoy me.
Just because it's right.
I mean, kind of. Sure.
Rune's pretty silly. This is one of the reasons to play this deck.
Yeah, I kind of... What Must Doing has always seemed like a bit of a meme to me, but if you actually look at the card, it's pretty nutty. If you hit 2 dragons... Like, 2 dragons is actually probably the best you can get, because 3 dragons you're probably running out of hand space. Like, 2 or 3, it's a very powerful card. You generate huge amounts of value. And with Whelp here, you know, it's going to be getting closer and closer to drawing through to that candle again. And Waxadread is no joke. Every time it comes back, it is a very, very difficult to deal with threat.
I do get the impression that there is a really strong control warrior with Galacrond out there, and we haven't got it yet.
I can see that. Yeah, there's some pretty powerful decks going about with Galacrond.
It's nearly there, but the Invoke I don't feel we're using quite correctly. In terms of like looking a year ahead from now of how you can actually use a warrior being able to attack for 3 is a pretty big deal, and we don't seem to really be using that aspect of things. We're just more like ramping up into Galacrond and making stupid stuff happen, apart from some of the aggro decks, but I suspect there's a control variant that really works well too.
Yeah, the really annoying thing about the Galacrond invoke for warrior in control deck specifically is the fact that you can't break it up. If you invoke more than once on a turn, you have to attack the same one minion. You can't like split up that 3 damage as you can with Shaman, with the individual.
I'm feeling that the Galacrond should almost be the afterthought, and the Invoke is actually the cards. Play them as removal spells or something.
Sure, yeah, I can see that.
Something weird like that. Because they're big board swings. Kill your thing, make a thing is traditionally a very good thing to do in Hearthstone.
Yeah, yeah.
No tomb can hold me.
I mean, Rogue has lived off that theory since the dawn of time.
No tomb can hold me.
Still does, yeah. Very powerful as well.
But the reason we are twaddling on is we're waiting for the explosive turns to come along.
Yeah, Galakron is, I believe, still one off from the... oh, no, wait, sorry. I was going to say I believe it's one off. I think now with the Invocation of Frost, it is now actually the 2 8/8s and the weapon. So it could come down on this turn to start swinging away with the weapon.
Yeah, there's also the option to try and bait out Brawl here by just making the 5, 6s, 4 dragon packs first. But maybe they're going the other way. Like, get rid of these and then we'll make them after Brawl goes. That's what you're going to do. Something that this warrior deck doesn't do well is curve, isn't it? I mean, that's been Warrior's problem for a while, but even more so at the moment, I think.
I mean, you say that, but back in the Bomb Warrior or the Control Warriors of last, before the newest expansion, it curved pretty well. Like, they had a lot of good 5-drops. The Restless Mummy curved out well with Armageddillo in there as well. I think it was a very strong curve there.
Yeah, Bomb Warrior was pretty nutty.
Yeah.
And technically still should be.
And yeah, we saw New Zealand's display with that being very unconvincing.
In fact, the Priest is the deck that's really stood the test of time. Obviously, Holy Wrath Paladin, but that's had sort of vague improvements as it's gone along. But Combo Priest has just been the same 30 cards forever now.
Vargoth Dragon's Pack. Absolutely. Feels like a great time to get it down. And then next turn, we're of course looking at Shudderwock to get those 8/8s back, get the claw back. That's another 10 damage. Something is quite likely to survive here as well. This is getting scary town now for ball control. Or for Hunter Ace.
Yeah, and they know that Shudderwock's coming because of the abuse of weapon the last 2 turns.
Sure, they can make a good guess.
Yes. Almost to the point where Martin tempts to hold back on the attack that turn.
Yeah.
And Shudderwock's kind of weird in this deck in that you don't really want to hold on for massive value a lot of the time. You might, pick up a Novice Engineer. But you want those 2/1s to have board space and your 8/8s to have board space without 2/1 stealing it.
I hope you like my invention.
But maybe Novice Engineer's just enough to go one more turn.
Holding off on the Shudderwock for a turn, obviously getting the draw in with the Novice Engineer twice when you put it in the Shudderwock pool as well is pretty nice. And if you can do something reasonably powerful on this turn anyway, I am definitely not opposed to going for this line instead.
Yeah, I think they were Shudderwocking until they picked up the Novice there. None of this stuff is impacting the board space, it's just giving them more value, so that's fine. It's better than fine, it's really blooming good. And now they've got this far, are you tempted just to play a Mogu and mutate it and just move on with a different plan?
I guess so. I was looking, sorry, a little bit more heavily at the Faceless Corruptor plan, because if you get Faceless Corruptor in the pool for Shudderwock, it makes it a lot more powerful, giving you another Shudderwock that comes off. But they are instead going with the Mogu here to get all right, a charger, which works very nicely for them.
Oh wow. Yes, it's a charger, damn it. Don't worry about the Divine Shield, Wind Fury aspects of it.
I forgot its name, all right.
Alakia.
Yes. I was thinking of Kali because Akali came off last game.
Look, the times I know what a card is called are few and far between. I'm going to milk them for their worth. Positioning nice here as well against Super Collider. It's instinctive at this point, but I guess actually could be better.
What have like big minion, small minion, big minion, small minion.
Yeah.
Big minion. Yeah. I guess so. I think it's pretty much good enough. But yeah,
Spot who's nitpicking because the game's looking in a really bad state.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, I think they're pretty much playing perfect. Perfect's a bit strong, but like very strong Hearthstone. Like, I think it's been pretty self-explanatory how they should plan everything out. They set up for the Galacrond on 7 and then the Dragon's Pack thereafter, but it was all just very solid play.
It's so stupid. He says watching Shaman take it apart, but yeah.
Yeah, it is a nutty card, isn't it?
It really is. Like, we've had weapons that do the same thing, but they hurt your face, not your death wing.
Yeah.
My jaws that bite, my claws that catch.
And we've been talking about how the UK are sort of dominating this game, and they have been, but there's another brawl up there for Norway at this point. And Ziliat, and another Super Clyde. Like, they have plenty of ways to potentially survive this onslaught. But it's getting a bit iffy.
They do, I guess. The problem is it doesn't really slow down here for board control. Like, after the 8/8s are dealt with, you know, yes, this is the most powerful board he's going to make for a little while, but Faceless Corruptor is a very, very scary threat. Like, everything that comes down has to be answered on the turn it comes down, or Hunter Ace could just die.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, he's low enough on health that even just presenting a board of pathetic minions should be enough to still constitute a threat.
And I do wonder if in testing, Hunter Ace thought that this warrior was better positioned against the Shaman, because at first glance, you definitely expect that to be the case, I think, because there's not actually that many threats in this Shaman deck. It's kind of just focusing on having 2 or 3 unbeatable waves that just close out the game from there. And with Brawl and Plague of Wrath, they should be able to get past those unbeatable waves.
Yeah, I mean, the testing time was very limited because they obviously had to test, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 decks to pick 4 from, and then
In
test
like
those 4
5
to make
days.
sure you've got it right. 4 days, in fact, 3.5 days, I think. Yeah. So it wasn't easy. You've still got to test your own Shaman as well to make sure you've got the best build because everyone's playing it. I think the only thing you didn't have to test was Holy Wrath Paladin because it was fairly clear fairly quickly that that was the way to beat Shaman.
Double the power, double the storm.
But everything else, oof. So here we go, the grumpy wave, the wave of nothing. And there's another one to come after this.
Yeah, there's definitely 1 or 2 at least big, more big waves from board control. We're of course also looking at, I believe there's an Electra and a Dragon's Pack left in the deck, which is another huge amount of damage that he can throw onto the board.
Yeah, your Hunter Ace theory might be right there. If they just played 3 or 4 games, maybe the Warrior did win those without anything crazy happening.
Mm-hmm.
It would be easy to be lulled into that sense of security. You feel obliged to Super Collide or something here, but you're taking so much damage.
Like, you kind of can't brawl because you know that there's that extra Dragon's Pack plus Electra, but at the same time, this is such a sizable amount of damage. You have to answer this. And I guess this is the best way to do so.
Going back a million years, you used to have a good chance against Warrior with Paladin by just hitting the hero power every turn. And those things weren't 2-1 rush minions.
Yeah.
That was just 1-1 dudes. And when I say a deck plays fair, this is kind of playing a little bit like those old Warriors. Obviously, it's going to have Alex Stras and things to come at some point, but
yeah,
it's got to get there. And to be fair, if they can survive 1 more wave and they still have 1 more brawl, they've got 2 more card draws. Maybe they could. Oh, maybe not.
Ooh.
I was just getting into the maybe they can turn the corner rant there, and then this happened.
So what do they do? Like,
Buff.
hero power, Goblin Lackey, Kobold Kronk's buff. Yeah.
What if?
Like, that has to be answered pretty much.
Yeah. And you've still got more stuff in the tank.
Yeah.
The never-ending tank. Very hard to see how Hunter can give us 2 lots, but maybe, yeah, like I said, he's got plenty of card draw. Was that the wealth they took on turn 2 or 3 they just haven't played?
It is, yeah.
So I'm just thinking, with that in mind, maybe Twilight Drake and Take the Chance was just better.
I mean, it was possibly right. Like, I think what it really comes down to, like you said, is the difference between if you skip the turn anyway, then it's kind of equally as bad if they have the Earth Shock. Like, obviously, you don't have a big whelp anymore.
Yeah.
But I wonder how good it would have been. I think overall, the initial instinct was maybe the correct one. Like, they were just overthinking themselves there.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, Twilight Drake has downsides. We know what they are. We don't want to look stupid and get Earth Shocked, but a lot of the best plays in Hearthstone make you look stupid when they don't work. It's kind of how it works. Hunter's made a play in HCT Italy in the semi-finals, I think, whereas if his opponent has Eviscerate, he loses.
Right.
Opponent doesn't have Eviscerate, he wins the tournament. If he just gets eviscerated there, everyone in the dog's like, why didn't he play around Eviscerate?
Yeah.
It's like because he's Hunter Ace and he realised that he had to not play around Eviscerate.
Well, the only out now for Hunter Ace is for his big old whelp to live. I think every other outcome, that was close, just leads to an instant loss. And there we go, we do see the Warrior again throwing down another loss, 4th loss in a row today, I believe, at least in the matches I've been casting. And it still has to get a win here against either a Rogue or a Paladin, both of which are not looking like particularly great matchups for it. Yeah,
just checking through it, beat Priest against the Czech Republic all the way back at the start of the day. And that's the only game it's won, I believe.
Oof.
It's lost 4 in a row since. So, yeah, it's going to have to find a way to get that win. And just looking at the ban here as well, they've got very similar lineups as all the teams have. And they actually banned the UK's Warrior. And there's not that much difference. UK play more traditional Warrior, but it's kind of the same deal, except you're playing Dragons.
Yeah.
So maybe they just overrated the Warrior, I don't know. Or maybe we're just wrong and it's now going to crucify everything and we're just going to be shown to be idiots. We shall see.
Is that a different little elf hat that he had to last time?
It is. Actually, is that a band around the bottom of the hat? Is it actually the hat has got like... I think the elf is the ears that goes over the hat. Because I thought it was a little elf hat as well, but he's actually mix and matching hats.
What a clever invention.
Well, the hat... mix and match. But that is another hat, by the way. That is like hat number 6 at least.
I know, he's just churning through them. We get it, Ball, you're rich.
The Carnivorous Cube's not impressed.
Never is.
Never is. Right, Rogue versus Paladin. I think you were talking earlier about how much you feel that this is sort of one of the defining matches of this meta in some ways.
It really is, and it feels just like a... Do you remember those toys of like the... It was like a piece of wire that had been bent into like a curly shape, and you had like the electric wand that you had to like push over it without touching the sides, or it would like make an electric beeper sound. That's Paladin in this matchup. Like, there's so many different things that you can run into that lose you the game. Like if you play Shivala too early, it gets flicked and you die. If you take too much damage early on, they'll finish you off with burst. If you don't save your removal, they'll have big threats later on. There's just so much stuff that you have to worry about that it's like the little electric maze game.
I love your analogies, Derek, but that was a very, very good one. Much better than the pencil one last week. Yeah, the electric maze game. That was impossible, that game. I used to have steady hands and couldn't do it.
Now
terrible. I just fall on the whole thing and it just electrocutes me.
Job done.
And the last bit used to be completely impossible because if you got to the end, you'd win a prize or something.
Yeah,
so they just made it so you couldn't actually fit the thing round there because all the wires sort of came in together.
Yeah.
And that definitely sums up this Paladin match. Yeah, you've got to not get beaten up, then you've got to not get flicked, and then you've got to actually win the game. And none of those things look like they're going to happen in the next few seconds.
Talk about good old-fashioned 1, 2, 3, 4 curve here. Well, at least 1, 2, 3. Absolute ton of damage coming down right at the start of the game. Board does have to be a little bit careful about how he trades here, because if he trades in the 1-3, he's obviously leaving himself incredibly vulnerable to a consecration. So maybe because of that, he just pushes everything face.
Oh, interesting. I thought if he was going to trade, he'd put the 3-2 into it and just You either protect your board or don't, but he's decided to get maximum damage and trade and hope there's no consecration.
He's like,
But
you know
why
what,
wouldn't you put the 1/3 face as well in that case?
I think it's because of Pyromancer nonsense. Like, you know, if there was Pyromancer plus Coin or Pyromancer plus Christology or something.
Sure.
Or just Elven Archer. Like, there are a couple of reasons, and I think I'm okay with that overall. Because it's only 1 damage to maybe save you a lot more.
Yeah, you don't mind when their removal of choice is hitting themselves in the face for an extra total of 2.
Yeah. Ooh, that's an interesting top deck. I guess you probably just make a 6 attack Edwin, right? Because my thinking is
so.
A 6/6 is very powerful by obviously backstabbing your own 1/1 fly shooter. A 6's Edwin is very powerful, but it's weak to Consecrate, obviously, because the weapon and the Consecrate fully clears the board. Yeah. But they've just clearly demonstrated they don't have a Consecration. So I think you can make a very strong read there that it's not in hand, and therefore you only have to worry about it coming off the top, and therefore a 6/6 Edwin very likely gets to connect face.
Yeah, and you don't want to wait another turn and make it bigger, because then you're getting into territory where the Paladin just relentlessly starts clearing your stuff.
Yeah.
So for the sake of an extra 2 here or there, it's just not worthwhile. So yeah, I think this is the perfect midpoint. I mean, they can now deal with it, but it's going to be still pretty messy. The Pyromancer down.
How do they do it? Oh, yeah, I guess I got the Subdue, right? That deals with it easily. But the thing is, they don't really want to do the Pyro on the same turn as that, because they want to get a more impactful Pyro.
Right.
I'd imagine.
But they've taken so much for beating already. Wow, they're actually going to hang in there.
Kangor Flashlight. Well, I was wondering if it would be Kangor Subdue. But no, instead they're just going to take their beatings for another turn.
They're getting a lot of heal out of this Kangor, so...
They are.
Maybe they feel the Edwin has to go into it.
Ooh.
It's a really hard choice when you have this thrown at you. Like, what do you do with the Kangor? If you don't put the Edwin into it, they might just heal back up and get more than the 6 anyway. But if you don't put the Edwin into the face, then you're just wasting a 6/6 Edwin.
Oh, it feels so bad to not connect this Edwin face. Can you imagine anything worse? I can't.
No, well, unless it was a 24/24 Edwin.
Touché.
So many options.
At which point you can miss lethal by not putting it face. But on that aside, so I'm curious to see what they choose here. I think you've seen a heal spell, you've seen a true seal. I think you put it in face, but I could forgive them if they traded.
Yeah. Like, you know, if we're messing around with Shivala nonsense later on, then you're kind of forced to. But Shivala's still 22 mana. There's absolutely zero chance of it coming down anytime soon. Unless they get very, very lucky with a prismatic lens. But I think you can rule out that possibility. Or rather, just not deal with it for the moment. And it's a reasonable hand that we have here for board control at the moment. The Kronks is obviously okay to just be... it's pretty good, you know, to be a 6/6 body and draw a card. The card it draws in Galakron is not very good quite yet because it has not been invoked at all yet. So it's just draw a card and make it cost 0, which is okay, but not anything too impressive.
The Rogue Galakron has yet to convince me that it's anything other than garbage. I understand it's in a lot of decks and it performs well and Lackey's are good things and it's okay.
It's a lot less good than I anticipated it to be, I will admit that.
But sometimes you draw Galakron when you could just hit them with something on turn 4 instead. I think it's okay. It's not the card that's garbage. It feels like it's not impactful enough in Rogue.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because Rogue's got so many ways of sort of mimicking what it's doing already.
I think the problem for me with Galakron is that, like, you know, you play all these other Galakron invoking cards, which are, like, fine, but it's just the problem that Rogue's had since the dawn of time is that you can faff about with all this nonsense and go for some kind of a crazy, ridiculous, you know, Rube Goldberg machine win condition, or you can just smack them in the face, which generally is just a stronger way to win the game.
Yeah.
It was the same with Mage back in the day when there was Ice Block. Like, yes, you could play Control Mage and all that nonsense, or you could just go Fireball, Frostbolt, and win the game that way.
Yeah. which was just so much better.
Yeah.
And it's very... this Galacon just doesn't even... I think it's drawn one card every time we've seen it played.
Yeah. It gets a very nice card off the top, though.
Yes. I mean, it's good in that you're cutting the cost of some pretty expensive cards.
Yeah. That's where it fits in nicely in a Highlander rig. I think if it's good in any deck, it's definitely Highlander. Because you have a more expensive curve.
Yeah, it's a pretty good hero power as well.
It's not bad. And the important thing is definitely that we have lackeys on board now for High Sparrow and Togwaggle.
I wonder.
Yep. There's quite a lot of synergy. Rogue does that better than any class, always has done. The synergy between rogue cards just seems to turn out to be pretty beautiful, even if you just throw any old rubbish together, let alone considered decks.
The game plan now, definitely for board control, is to try and start threatening lethal every turn as soon as possible. Because, of course, as soon as you can force your opponent to play their Shavala with a Sathravar and start trying to gain health rather than going for their absolute one-turn win condition, then you are very likely to win a game on the spot, I think.
Yeah, and with the resource they now have, because of this Galacon that I was just so mean to, they are going to be able to present a must-clear board pretty much every turn from now to the end of the game.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean they'll win it, but it means that Paladin will be able to get a move on. It's still got 11 cards left to get through. And the 5 armor is actually a massive deal here as well.
It really is.
Right, what can you do with all these wondrous cards? Okay. Sure, they work well together, I've heard, and so do
Wow.
they. Actually, they've got both of their Death Rattle cards in their hand, so the Apothecary...
oh, yeah, right you are.
I actually got it right this time, I'm paying attention this time. Yeah.
Definitely less than ideal, but still a very, very powerful wand, I think it's fair to say. Even if you just count it as a 0 mana 2/5, I've seen worse.
I mean, Death Rattle cards that make minions versus Paladin are so powerful.
They are the dream.
It really is a fly in the ointment of the way that Paladin clears boards.
Interesting. You do have to know how to play them, to be fair. You can't just throw them out willy-nilly. You need to know which types of boards require death rattles.
Yeah.
In different situations. And, you know, I think at first glance, you could definitely make the argument that board controller's made an overcommittal onto the board here, because his Necrium Blade now does not necessarily have a target to activate on in the next couple of turns. But what it is doing is, as I was saying, representing that lethal in the next couple of turns. And I think because of that, you know, winning sooner rather than later feels like a good win condition, because what he wants to do is, you know, fluster NTR. He's playing a game of chicken, basically, where he needs to make sure that NTR is the first player to blink, throws down Shavala, and then he can kill it with Flick. So even if this doesn't kill NTR, it can do the next best thing, which is forcing the Shavala from his hand. Yeah,
it's a lot of damage in the death rattles as well. It's 11. It's a shame for the United Kingdom here that Galacon gets rid of the hero power you'd rather like to have right now. Just be able to blow up the blade at will.
I guess, yeah.
would be very pleasant.
What, 2 out of the 7? Like, obviously, Kobold's probably the best just to deal damage. Goblin deals damage if you have stuff on board, which is okay. Ethereal pretty much always gets you damage with the rogue spells that you're getting.
I must move quickly. I wonder.
Getting more and more awkward. Still 8 cards. Sort of saying that for your benefit as much as anybody else's.
Yeah. Well, no, I can see it this time because Bout's not in the pool. So
Oh, I still have your lovely face plastered straight across where the number of cards. Okay, so Shrink Ray. Always a good way of dealing with this sort of board. Much better, obviously, if there's 7 minions so that the board is locked out, but
13 damage here. So Kobold was not lethal quite yet, I believe, but getting very close. If we were to see a Leroy here off of nothing because there's no 4 mana cards, but I don't know, a Witchy Lackey into some kind of a charger could maybe close out the game.
Yeah, Faces might just present a board that is, you've seen them sort of not want to deal with it. It does look out your board if you play the Faceless, but it presents a lot of attack.
Thing is, though, from this point for board control, he doesn't really need to worry about healing all that much, as weird as it sounds, because he's seen the Kangor, he's seen the Flash of Light, and again, as soon as Shivala comes down, he wins the game.
What was he looking for there?
Oh, that could have been Leroy.
Looking for Leroy, yeah, because he didn't evolve the Togwaggle, which would have been the normal natural choice.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a little bit of a pipe dream.
Yeah, but also it kind of didn't matter which one he went for, so might as well go for the pipe dream lethal.
I guess so. Corcoran was also lethal, I think. Oh no, wait, Corcoran's fallen. Sorry.
There's always more than you think. There's always something.
Yeah.
Stormwind Knight or something.
I mean, even just Wasteland Assassin. Is that what it's called? The stealth.
The 4/2 stealthy boy. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been pretty good.
I was saying to Falc actually last class how often that card is surprisingly good when you get it from Ferrocat, even though it's rubbish.
It's a good. I honestly think that card is not that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
There's probably no decks I'd ever play it in, just hard running it, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's definitely a card not to forget exists when you're building, especially when the current meta changes. We will see.
Yeah.
It's business time though. Zero cost Chevalars, bankers, all that good stuff going on for Norway, but they are so low on health here.
They are indeed.
Make a lackey. Which means we're stuck with lackeys for another year.
I was actually just thinking that earlier today. That's so weird. I was thinking lackeys feel like they've been in the game as long as Witchwood has been in the game. They're just so iconic already at this point.
And they're around for another year in theory.
I mean, I'm okay with that actually. I think the lackeys.
I think they're good. I think they add quite a lot to the game.
Yeah, and I think when you get more of them in the game, it's kind of better because you're less. I don't know, it's kind of better and worse in a way because you're less likely to get the specific one, so they're less powerful because you'll get the more powerful ones less often. But at the same time, it's difficult to plan as to which one you're going to get.
I've also very much enjoyed the whole experiment this year of let's have it as one kind of complete set over the year.
Right,
So it starts off with 5 lackeys, and then you've added some here and there. And so you don't have to keep coming up with new mechanics just to make one set. We've got used to lackeys. They feel part of everything. So if they just add a new lackey, it's like, oh, we've got a new lackey. We know what that means. We don't have to learn what's a lackey, what's this, what's that. We know instantly, oh, new lackey.
Yeah.
I know what this card does. I know how it functions. So hopefully that will be done again next year, I would hope. With whatever the new thing is, not more lackeys, obviously.
I think they've actually also done a pretty good job of not making the lackey synergy cards completely busted. Togwaggle is a very strong card, but it's not auto-include. And Evil Recruiter, if you remember back, is strong but not insane.
Yep, I think the lackeys have been surprisingly well balanced. Because I imagine they're blooming hard to balance.
I think so. Yeah.
Move quickly.
I mean, we did have to see a nerf to Evil Miscreant back in the day, but it's different age. Right, we are now
game going on.
Looking at Frostnova here to try and keep NTR alive for another turn. But sadly, I think we can see what we've been prattling on. Board control's consistent board control and damage has just been that little bit too much, and we are going to end up with exact lethal coming in with the Eviscerate, and Flick Skyshift taking out the Chevalars isn't even necessary at this point, despite how close NTR was to taking the victory. It is going to end 2-0 up with, again, the Rogue beating the Paladin. It is just looking like one of those miserable matchups that pops up every now and again for these combo decks. They always seem very powerful when you go up against some of the decks that don't get going quite so quickly, but then someone comes along and puts them in their place, which in this metagame feels like the Rogues.
Yeah, it's just been doing it pretty much all day long. As Falk was saying, there's one reversal when you were casting earlier, but United Kingdom with their Paladin deck last again. Don't know if they randomised or if they had some sort of game plan to play their Paladin last, but they're one game away from reaching tomorrow's top 4. There's one more slot. They're bidding for it, but Norway, they're going to have to do the opposite of what they did in the last match. They have to not get reverse swept. They're going to have to do the reverse sweeping. Will they manage it? We'll find out in 3. The final session of day 2, the final top 8 match, down to top 4. And so far it's Denmark, Hong Kong and Japan in that top 4 tomorrow. One of these 2 teams will be joining them, and it's looking very much at the moment like that could be the United Kingdom.
Yeah, they're looking in a very, very good spot. But Norway were in just this position earlier on today. 2-0 up against Denmark. And then they got reverse swept, pushed down into the lower bracket, which is why they are now facing off against the United Kingdom. But unfortunately for them, the deck on which they got reverse swept was this Warrior, which is now the deck that they have to get a win with. And I think it's a deck that should, in theory, be okay against the Paladin. It has a pretty tremendous amount of armor gain with Molten Breath, Ember Scale Drakes, the shield blocks, as well as the hero powers and the weapons project. So it should be able to get over the threshold in order to survive the 50 damage, roughly, that the Paladin deck can deal. But it did not manage to do that earlier on today, so we'll have to see if it can turn things around here.
Yeah, I know that, like, talking about traditional control warrior, but this is very similar, even though it's built very differently.
Yeah.
In what it does. What's the argument says? I think people came down on the side of warrior is favoured, but it just doesn't seem as easy. Sometimes it seems really easy. You get to 50 armor, you win the game really easily, but it just doesn't seem to work that way all the time at all. Especially now you can make a board full of Chevalars more than once. But yeah, I think Warrior's a slight favourite personally, but I don't think it's as big as people make out.
Yeah, I think it changed around drastically when Emperor Thaurissan came into the mix. At that point, I think the Paladin swung pretty drastically into the lead because it was able to do the 50 damage on one turn, which is a big, big difference when you compare being able to do 50 damage over 2 separate turns. Because, you know, if you damage the warrior's actual health total as opposed to their armor, then you start opening yourself up to things like Ziliax, which can heal up in addition to the armor that can be gained. Whereas now, you know, it does feel like it is a little bit more difficult to deal the full amount of damage. But the thing that Denmark were doing so fantastically earlier on today was actually the early chip damage. That's what felt like the real, the breaking point. The thing that tipped the scales in their favor was the fact that they got that early chip damage, which Norway just had no answer to. And looking at Deaddraw's hand here, it's looking like there's a good chance he'll get that kind of a start again. It's just full of minions.
And he's declared his intention to do that, like coining out the 3/4 right from the start. Not going to mess around, just going to try and chip away at that
I think it's very
potential
smart.
armor.
Bit of a scary minion here in the 1/3 because that could obviously gain a decent amount of armor.
Yeah, there's no harm in just getting rid of it, I think. I guess the question is, does it have to get rid of itself? If you're playing an Acolyte of Pain and you bump, what's the punish?
What happens? Molten Breath on the 3/4, and then you have an Acolyte that can keep drawing. I guess it's about the... What do you value more? A card for you or 2 health for your opponent?
Yeah, and if it goes wrong, it might be 6 health for your opponent, because you might have to bump into that thing 2 or 3 times.
That's actually a pretty close argument, I think, because my first instinct is to say that you drawing cards is the most important thing, and you should definitely prioritize that above anything. But up against Warrior, you generally have the time to draw through your whole deck anyway, so card draw becomes a little bit less valuable. And so I think on balance, I actually like either playing the Acolyte and bumping, or not playing the Acolyte and bumping. Just basically anything that involves killing off this 1/3.
Yeah, you're saving the Acolyte for next turn to play an Elven Archer, maybe, or...
I guess so, yeah.
Seems fine. So yeah, they're going to play this weird looks where they're playing for short-term damage.
Yeah.
With no real plan. The plan is to do some damage, but no real time to just get some damage in there, work the rest out.
Man, Molten Breath is a pretty nutty card.
It really is.
Look at it. Like, Deal 5 in Game 5 is a huge swing.
Seen with the decks so far, and I think we keep dumpstering the deck because it's lost quite a lot sample size, but the Breath, the one that draws 2 cards, Dragon's Roar, Breath, Roar, whatever. The Dragon's Roar seems to be not a keep in the on turn 2 against a lot of these decks. Obviously, you want the armor. You need it to make your dragon quota up. Really good idea. You curve into that, and then you start doing your good.
Right.
But from what I've seen in this tiny, it's in your hand, and it
does seem
obviously
that way.
late game. It's great, but control deck late game, you don't care. You will have.
Yeah. Like it's all version of Warrior, because obviously when we had Doom in the Tomb, the N'Zoth versions were pretty clearly the best. Back to the old mech packages with Megadillo, and of course the just allowed for a little bit more consistent threatage. Whereas, you know, a lot of the dragons that you're generating off of dragons, doing a Lorinda there.
Thank you. Not entirely.
A lot are a bit too slow. You know, they don't have taunt. They're just big. The aggro that comes down. It's sure maybe there's something there, but I think at the same time, race about it now, a week after the matches. Maybe they'd just be saying, you know what, it's probably just not that good.
Maybe we're seeing why this deck was something they chose. Paladin, They're up to 14 armor. Yeah, that's a good way to race paladins. Armor. We knew there was going to be a lot of paladin, Holy Wraths and Highlander. They get out of range often enough with this deck. But the downs aren't very good. Well, not very good, but weird forced synergy sort of ground noise in the deck.
Some interesting options here. I think these all have some amount of merit, because obviously would be good if you could throw it down this turn, but it's going to take... And in the end they decided, you know what, none of these are doing it to get something more impressive rolling. Get something more impressive off of that puzzle and Conjurer's Calling. That is in terms of mage spells.
Yeah, that'd be a great warrior to start. Those are just the cards you need. If you want Pyroblast, I guess, but just boxing away.
Popular tagline for Rocky. Boxing away.
Wow.
I have no idea. I haven't even seen Rocky. Yeah,
you would definitely like that movie. It's actually...
Yeah.
That's setting myself up for all... But there you go. There's my declaration. The others are all rubbish, by the way, but the...
Yeah. Person's Punch Out, but it's not quite the same.
Same at all. Oh, where did this start? Oh yeah, we got away Puzzlebots.
We read a podcast or something else where we can then actually going on.
No one would listen, but I.
That would be a good language.
Wise man once taught me.
Right, time to start turn. This could just be Dragon Wing, Deathwing, boom, hit the board, start threatening your opponent. Let's start turning this around, because you can right from the start of the game, but I think already the has managed to get through. Rule that out completely as a possibility. He makes it a lot harder.
Yeah, they've lost that.
Yeah.
Like, they're not really... They might make it work sometimes, but that's... Now, is to play some 12 attack minions and...
Good biffing.
And... Players playing, both sides have realised this game has now changed. So the United Kingdom have gone on the defensive, and they're shooting things. Turn, and goodness knows how much to turn after. And can't deal with it.
Silver goes face. Correct. You want to goes through so that you can actually kill them. Hopefully, talking about the possibility of surviving 2 holy chance that NTR won't even be able to survive 1. Although double weapons project, they can probably 5.
This is the other tempo attacks have done for United Kingdom is removal and timeouts and all that good early on. The warrior has just been defending. United Kingdom have been, chipping away, not at left in their deck. They're down to 8 now, as you can see. Means they're just going to be able to often be on a very low health total, most likely. Very much up to Norway to get out of range, and actually not doing a bad job of it, because
Yeah, that's true.
I think you might be seeing who wins this one based on some boxing. Once again, waves away an annoying present.
Mom, I'm playing Hearthstone.
Draw. We're playing for 70. Favourite. Beans and chips.
Ooh, beans and chips. Turns off computer.
Yeah, off he goes. So they play. I don't know what Dead Draw eats.
Speaks to what a failure UK is as a. It's the first thing that we think of, and it's an actual.
Concept of both beans and chips. Have no idea.
That's true. All right, Harrison comes down. Perfect. Drawing, and arguably more importantly, that's 4 days from here on in.
It's going to be really tight.
It's just Operation Armageddon from here on in for NCR. Burst damage or any kind of board presence isn't going to work.
Yeah, it's been a very guard.
Yeah. Though now that after the second weapons down now, Tyrion looks like rain to start wreaking havoc.
Yeah, it's the Ashbringer, obviously, that points of ash straight to the face. I wonder if Control Warrior completely from scratch and trying to
How so?
Iterated Control Warrior from how it was slowly developed, as
Right.
you say correctly. Cards like Execute, maybe they're good again. Coming into play and stuff. Maybe Execute's.
Remember there was this, I think it was Staz, really weird version of Bomb Warrior that like it had no shield blocks, no shield slams, nothing instead, and it was like a weird kind of tempo thing.
I think Casey might have played it the same week because that's the week
There was something to it there actually. And maybe you're right.
It just feels like, of course, Norway are having a bad day. Oh, sorry, Norway. Warrior deck. It's in general the deck seems to have got doing a more and more just hangover.
Yeah.
We've had nerfs to Dr. Boom in that change, and yet most of the cards, same, which makes sense because good cards are still good cards. Off completely. Ashbringer / Tyrion.
It really is. Of course, is the second death wind to come down, which is to clear off the board. They're not going to be taking any damage from minions. Damage in terms of Ashbringer swings. Stress.
Yeah, not to mention the little bit of consecration.
Yep.
And the chunk Holy Wrath at some point. Presumably.
Oh, I wonder if we could see the second in Costa. It's not a bad chance, eh? Spells left. Okay.
Okay.
As well that there is no Sath Rovar, the UK's lineup, so there was no the Holy Wrath up to 9 mana, at which point it's same turn. So that was not a risk.
Big deal in terms of they do have to really get this done with.
They can't rely
and
on
Ashbringers and bits, yeah.
the version with the combo.
Interesting to me. I wonder if that was there for them Miller. We because it was the bottom card.
I can just imagine that Dead Draw and Board Control were. They thought, oof, that could have been completely end their chances of winning. And I mean, hey, even Deranged Doctor. At all.
It really isn't. If you time things incorrectly, it's just extra They have to deal with it now. Later.
29 health at the moment for NTR. 5-7 more in burst with breath. Dead doctor now. Correct, I think, just to make sure it.
Yeah, they're in a hurry. More armor, so.
Is this some of the 6-6 now? Same tick.
Oh, yeah, we're going to find out. Wow. That's actually quite useful. That's almost like having a death rattle effect. He's going to die like that a lot of the time.
Oh, but there's no dragons. That's 5 more. Find a dragon first.
Yes. Play the box.
Yeah. Water box.
Box this turn.
Yeah, that was the tagline for Rocky 2.
Conjurer's Calling. What's...
It's a 6-cost token. I wasn't even sure what the... Like, everything that's a 6-6 generally costs 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's certainly worth checking this. And it gets messed up because I think the dragon, but they're not actually 5-6s. They're like 2 or 3 cost. I think they're 2 cost. You think of them as 5-6s, so you don't expect them to cost 2.
All right, Shivala, shuffle, bang. 25 damage to the face. He's at exactly 30, exactly 50 health. Sorry, so we're looking at pretty much exact lethal coming in the next few turns. You have to imagine it's going to be Shivala rushing into the 2-2 and then swing face with the weapon, just so that even a hero power can't get out of range.
But can they draw a dragon? Getting 5 more armor.
Going for the second shuffle again now. I guess he could shuffle the banker in instead, which does effectively the same thing. He just denies fatigue for a turn. Or he could shuffle in the Shivala and give himself access to bonus mana. Oh, no, wait, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, sorry, because he's already drawn one. Yeah, so it has to shuffle the banker. Yeah. I'm being a dum-dum. So this is smart. It basically just means he doesn't fatigue for a turn.
So if NTR can draw a dragon, does that help him enough? Assuming this goes face. Which it didn't.
I guess it can go face next turn. There's no more weapon destruction in the deck, and 2 Shivalas. Oh, sorry, 2 Shivalas, yeah. Should almost certainly be able to get through any taunts so that the weapon can connect face.
Yeah, it's just because there's going to be a taunt, so I think I'd have liked to hit face just to remove that possibility of something awkward happening to me.
So now we are looking at the possibility for 2 armor to be gained, which, as we can clearly see, is not going to be enough. Norway can also see that, so I imagine their only real option, given that they don't have lethal, is box.
Go boxing, Rocky 3, before you say it.
Alright, that's nothing. That's nothing, sadly. That's bad.
Bad. That's okay, but whatever. That's not good.
Yeah, that's bad.
Give your opponent a 0 mana 7/5 with Russian lifesteal.
They need Radiance, I guess. Yeah, that's all
that
10.
it?
That's not going to do it.
That was a... When people box me, much worse things than that happen.
Yeah, that was an absolutely dreadful puzzle box there, but it doesn't make a difference now because NTR does end up losing the series. Dead Draw and Ball Control 3-0 over Norway, an incredibly respectable team over the history of global games. One of the absolute powerhouses up there, it feels like, with New Zealand, Brazil's performing teams we've had over the entire course of our legacy. But they do end up, unfortunately for them, falling to the United Kingdom, who are our second team going through to our finals tomorrow.
Yeah, and kind of the opposite from what you just described Norway as. The United Kingdom have traditionally been a bit of a farce in HGG, especially the first year. The second year wasn't quite so bad. So to see them get through to the top 4 is a big deal indeed. Let's have a look at how they got there. We may indeed. Denmark cruising through. They had stutters in week 1. Week 2, they looked good. This week, they looked absolutely formidable. And United Kingdom doing it the hard way. Playing all 3 of the teams along the way. So no arguments there that they, on the day, were the second best team.
Yeah. It almost feels, whenever I say it, it always feels like a kind of a consolation prize, like well done for turning up. But it feels like Denmark are one of the most improved teams over the Hearthstone Global Games, which is not to say they started bad. Like, they started off pretty well. But since then, it just feels like they've become a well-oiled machine, trusting in each other. It's like a buddy cop movie where they have to learn to trust each other to get the job done.
Not that there's many of those. Let's have a look at how the other teams from yesterday there from playoffs A. And Hong Kong and Japan getting through there. Hong Kong doing it the easy way. Japan doing that one the hard way. Possessi bringing the deck. Derek, the Death Rattle Rogue. Final form, or close to it, deck, in my opinion. The Anubisath Warbringer, the only one to bring it. Will they emerge victorious tomorrow because of that, do you think?
I think they're in with a very, very good shot of doing so. Japan as well, I think, are pretty undeniably one of the better teams that we have here overall in the Hearthstone Global Games. One of the 2 teams now with 2 Grandmasters in it, which is relatively rare outside of the, the really strong countries like in Germany or France, for example, I suppose, as well. But I think they are real contenders as well going into the final day tomorrow, where, as you saw there, we have our top 4. One of those players, after we play it out in our final day tomorrow, will be your 2019 Global Games champion.
Yeah, and what a lineup it is. Obviously, just recapping there, Denmark, United Kingdom, Hong Kong, and Japan. Let's have a look how the brackets work out. Who's going to play all? It becomes, for the first time in the whole tournament, single elimination. We have had so many groups. I think we've had 10 groups, I believe, so far. No, more than that. 13, 40. I don't know, I've lost count. It's a lot. Not enough fingers anymore. But Hong Kong, United Kingdom, Japan, Denmark, and like I say, I've nailed my colours to the Japan mask ever since the deck list came out. Who do you fancy from that lot?
I think I'm going to have to go a little bit biased. I'm going to the United Kingdom. I think that not only are they obviously my home country, I think they are playing very, very strong Hearthstone, and I think that their different styles complement each other very, very well. Ball Control is the player who's streaming as much as he does every single day, gets a very good look at a wide range of decks, which I think gave him a good baseline look at what these strongest decks are at the moment. And then Dead Draw with this slightly more, I don't know, it feels like obsessive approach to how he takes Hearthstone, is going to get some of those decks, really get his teeth into them and figure out what the best way to play them is. So I think together they make a very nice team and will be a good shot at taking the trophy. Yeah,
I can't disagree with that. I think they've done incredibly well over the course of the year to get to this point. It would be nice to see them take it down as people that I both like and respect. So I'm still sticking with Japan, though.
All right, fair enough. I
just want to see. I want to see the reward for the person who built the new deck, rather than the people who built the decks that were already being played to some extent.
That's fair. Yeah.
But we will find out tomorrow. Don't forget to join us at 2 o'clock CET. But until then, have a good one.